Hey everyone, I'm Spencer.
I'm Lara, and we're Married with Board Games. While it's great to use board games as an escape from the real world using fantastical themes, we really enjoy it when you can experience something from the real world in board game form.
Such is the case with Hotshots, a 1-to-4 player cooperative firefighting game from Fireside Games. In Hotshots, players take on the roles of real wildfire fighter jobs and work together to stop a spreading wildfire.
In this review, we're going to look at how this compares to other firefighting games, give our overall thoughts, and give recommendations on who might be the right audience for the game.
Let's begin over at the table for a quick overview of the gameplay and components. Here we have a basic setup for Hotshots. Now, the map is randomly determined at the beginning of the game. This is the basic setup. The rulebook shows some alternate tile layouts that you can try once you've mastered the base setup. But you can see there's the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Zion, Yellowstone, so that's something for you to explore on your future plays. Now that you've seen what these tiles look like, I want to show you what an initial setup would look like. Ta-da! So now there's fire on the board. Your goal in order to win the game is to remove all of those fire tokens from the board. You lose if 8 tiles ever get scorched. You can see on the back of a tile, it's scorched. Now the way it gets scorched is if there are ever 4, or in this case 4 or more fire tokens on it. The scorch limit is different for all the other tiles, but that's what you don't want to happen, is to get this many fire tokens on the tile. If you do, you flip it over and you can't get back the other side ever. But it wouldn't be fire if it didn't spread. So during the game, the fire will spread and you have to try to keep that fire at bay, keep it from increasing on the tile it's on and also from across the board. How does a turn work? Well, the first thing you do is you move. So you can move your firefighter up to 2 spaces, but once they hit fire, they stop moving. Let's say that I was all the way over here. What you do is, the way you fight fire, you take a look at the bottom symbols here and you want to match those symbols on your dice. You can roll as many times as you want to, as long as you roll at least 1 success. So in this case, I need a shovel, a rake, and 2 firefighters. So I'm going to set aside this rake that I got, and now I can roll again. I got a shovel, and I can stop or I can keep rolling, so I'm going to roll. Oh look, I got a firefighter, gonna keep rolling. Uh-oh, okay, so I didn't roll any successes. In this case, what would happen is what's called a blow up, and I would have to immediately add a fire token to the tile I was on. Now obviously I wouldn't be putting that one out because there wasn't fire on it, but you get the idea. For each number of successes you roll, there's a corresponding reward, such as removing the fire tokens, grabbing these reward tiles which help you out. This one unlocks locked dice. This one lets you move one other player to your location, but the more successes you roll, the better your rewards are. You have the opportunity to put down these fire break tokens, which help stop the spread of fire. And speaking of spreading fire, once you're done rolling your dice, you draw a fire card, and this will tell you how fire spreads. For example, this one is an ember card, which means we need to immediately place 1 fire token on this specific tile. You'll see some other cards like these that tell you to add a fire token to some tiles that have a scorch limit of 5 and a scorch limit of 3. You'll also see cards like this, which changes the direction the wind is blowing. So you'll adjust the little flag here, which you can't see because of these guys, but there is a little flag here. You'll adjust that in the direction that the card shows. And then you do basically a light wind blowing, which forces you to add a fire tile to the next adjacent tile in the line that the wind is blowing. Like that. And there are some more cards that make it more difficult, like they'll add fire to tiles that already have fire on them. They'll have some that can jump fire breaks. There are some more difficult cards in there, but you get the idea. Finally, all is not lost. You do have some special abilities for your players. Like the Sawyer, he can change any axe to a chainsaw and vice versa. The Spotter can draw 2 cards, put one into play and put the other one on top of the deck. Crew Boss, at one time you can move one other player one tile, and Swamper is like the Sawyer in that he can change a rake to a shovel or vice versa. Together through teamwork, hopefully you'll put out the fires and save the day.
Okay, thank you, Spencer, for going through everything that we have in the box.
You are welcome.
Wow, look at those manners. Let's talk about what we just looked at.
Okay, let's do it.
For the visual presentation for Hotshots,
Yeah.
what did you think of this?
I feel like the artwork and the graphic design is nothing really special. I don't think it's bad. It doesn't strike me as unpleasant. But I don't feel like it's really anything that's like blows me out the water.
It's not groundbreaking or stand out or anything, but I mean, it does what it needs to do. Well, gets the job done.
Right, and the tiles, you know, I do like the scorched side of the tiles.
Me too.
That's really neat. And then, you know...
Well, then it makes... Well, I mean, I kind of like it. Kind of don't like it when they get scorched.
Right.
Especially when my character gets scorched.
Oops. And then, you know, I like the detail on the individual tiles. I like how no two tiles are different, or no two tiles are the same. And, you know, it puts you in the setting very well with the different trees and the campfires and then the different cabins and all that. But as far as the way that it was executed, whatever. But I do like the fire tokens.
Yes, those
are
so
really cool. They could have easily just done cardboard circles, but they did the plastic 3D
yeah,
fire.
something that's standing up and visual.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that as
really
well.
do. So,
well, even down to which way the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
The windsock.
Yes.
It could have been just like an arrow
Right.
laying down there, and they actually made a windsock that you can turn and point in the different directions, and I really appreciate that. And I think that's why it also helps with having those tiles the way they are to help you with your wind directions.
The hex tiles.
And putting down fire breaks.
Yeah.
You have a very precise direction. So, I mean...
That's a good point.
It was very practical design, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. One thing I will say is that, so on those fire cards, the cards that you draw to spread the fire.
Right.
I feel like the iconography could be a little bit more clear.
Right.
It took several plays for us to keep checking the rule book to see what they meant, for it to really get ingrained into us. Okay, we can just look at that and know what it means. I don't know if it's because we were just slow, or, you know, and honestly, I don't know how that could be made more clear. Maybe, you know,
Well,
if
especially with the size they are.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Maybe if the cards were bigger, they could actually be spelled out on there.
Right, and I don't think that it's totally necessary that they are the size that they are. They could definitely be regular playing card size, and you could actually have the description of what's going on there with that iconography possibly. Right.
But I did say that after a couple plays, it does start to make more sense, and you get to memorizing everything, and you don't have to check the rule book anymore. But there is that. Okay, so do you have anything else on the visual or physical aspect of the game?
I think the only other thing would be that even though they're in different poses, it's very easy to get the firefighters mixed up as far as the standees. I think there could be something that could be done to help differentiate as far as the appearance.
Maybe if they had a different color base or something.
Well, and just color would be best, because I feel like they're all wearing yellow tops. And maybe that is a common uniform or whatnot, but if there could just be something to help differentiate that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the game itself. The mechanisms. Mechanically, how would you rate it? You know, complexity wise.
I like how quick a turn is.
Yes.
I enjoy that. Especially in a cooperative game, sometimes it's very easy to get very muddled down. And now, if I do this, and then you can do that, and then we'll do that, then we'll have this, and da da da.
Right.
As long as this card that we draw is blah blah, like
right.
that
a lot of times the planning is for naught.
Yeah, because then never mind, we drew this card.
Right.
I like how quick the turn is. I think it all fits very well. Again, like I talked about with the wind blowing in the different directions and the fire breaks and whatnot. I think that fits very well.
I love that. I love the way that the wind thematically controls the spread of the fire.
And how it's stronger or softer, and so sometimes it's such a strong gust that it can jump the fire break and combine with an already burning fire or something like that. The ember just dropping onto a random tile. Yeah. I love that. And I feel like, again,
depending on the way the wind is blowing, could be not as bad as if it went this direction. Based on how well you've built up your fire breaks, or if it's already been burned.
That's so true. I mean, we live in North Texas. We don't have as many wildfires as they do on the West Coast, so we don't have as much experience with it. But I do feel like I do remember hearing that often about like wind direction and wind speed being such an important factor when it comes to fighting a wildfire. And so that's something I really appreciate with what they did with this game. And that's what makes it different from other fire games.
Right.
That has to be said.
Exactly. Well, exactly, because it's not just a random, oh, you draw this card, oh, you put it on this one. Or you draw this card. No. If there's a fire already burning, the wind's blowing it. It's carrying it in this direction.
Or if you fail to make an impact on the tile that you're on, and there's a little bit of a flare-up.
Yes. Yeah. That's a very good point. I like that. It's not just rolling dice and the coordinates as where it pops up. You know, it fits with the way the wind. Yeah, very good point. So yeah, mechanically simple, but kind of a little bit, a lot, whatever, going on with the way these things are unfolding. I like pressure luck games. I really do, because I always am at that point of, oh, do I go?
Oh my gosh, my stomach just gets in knots.
I usually play it safe, but I figured in this game, and that's the thing about this game, you can't play it safe, because if you play it safe, you're not going to win.
Well, you say that, and then anytime that I was like, okay, I'm going to go for it, and no.
Well, I mean, of course, it depends on how the fire has come out. But I mean, if you've got a lot of fire on the board, you're not going to make any progress by only rolling to put out one fire at a time.
Or only putting down
a fire break.
Fire breaks and stuff. You've got to go for getting those flame
You got to go for
tokens
broke. Either burn up the map and get done with it and start over, or try to get them out all the time. So I do enjoy the physical, or the pressure luck aspect of it. I think that's handled very well. And the decisions of, should I go to the next level? First level is the fire break. The next level is remove a fire token. The next level is
remove some fire tokens
and get a reward, one or the other. And then the last one is 3 fire tokens. And so, it's so enticing to keep rolling. But no, very, very well, very good job there. And one thing I like, in addition to all the other things we mentioned, is the assist thing, the way that assisting is handled, where if you have another person on your tile, you have an opportunity to re-roll.
Or if you're located next to the lake.
Yes.
Which it all comes down to how your map is constructed.
Right. Yeah.
That we got so lucky the last game that we played that the lake just ended up smack dab in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
But I also want to piggyback off of that. This isn't something that we had mapped out in our discussion points. I like that in the rule book they show you different ways to lay out your map.
Yes.
To be thematic and be representative of different locations.
Right.
And I really enjoy that, and I think that's very creative.
Yeah, definitely. I like the vehicles.
Yes.
Again, another difficult decision. When do I use this vehicle? Because it's a one-time use only.
Well, and getting over there takes a turn.
Yeah.
And then you could be rolling, and
yeah,
it's chancy.
And as we've said several times, this game is very thematic.
Extremely.
I start to sweat whenever we play this game. And I feel like, again, with the exception of the push your luck, of the rolling the dice, I feel like everything else is very thematic. As far as, the different abilities that the different characters might have, or the way that the fire spreads, or the vehicles, that kind of thing. So I like the way that's tied into the game.
Definitely. So bottom line from us, Hotshots provides a fun press your luck experience with some enjoyable decisions to be made in the form of a cooperative firefighting game. In the sea of complex and lengthy cooperative games, sometimes it's great to just roll some dice and see what happens. And that's pretty much what you're doing in Hotshots.
Now again, that's not a bad thing. This game does what it does well. We enjoy the press your luck mechanism here while trying to navigate a forest ablaze. And the addition of the vehicles and special abilities, there's just enough added to the dice rolling to make this a game with staying power.
For those that don't like dice rolling and pressing your luck, this probably won't be your cup of tea. And purely strategic gamers might not find enough of a cerebral challenge here, but for those who enjoy family weight cooperative games, You can't go wrong with Hotshots.
For all the reasons listed above, we give Hotshots a rating of 7 and a seal of approval. Check this one out for a fun dice rolling experience.
That about does it for us. Check us out on social media at Married with BG and visit our website for more reviews, podcasts, and our blog.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.